Hello there. Right, we're going along to a place to look at a fortification called Zuydcoote, or Batterie I think it's called. Can't say it, but I'll put it at the bottom so you know what I'm on about. This part of the Atlantic Wall was taken over in 1940 when the Germans attacked this area of Dunkirk. They attacked the Fort des Dunes, which is just behind the Atlantic Wall section, and they attacked it with Stukas and they killed over 30 French soldiers. What you see behind me is a bunker called an M680. The M basically means it's part of the Kriegsmarine, which is the Navy. That entrance there would have held a 75mm pack gun, which is basically an anti-tank gun. Now it's got usually two rooms in that. The first part is where the tank is, or where the gun is, and the second bit is where the ammo is, and the crew obviously work around it. Now all these shards of glass are done by a local artist. You can understand that the French don't want stuff like this here, but it's just cost too much to try and destroy it, so they decided to make this something a bit more colourful. It's just basically covered in shards of glass, and you can see a reflection as you walk around, so no doubt if the sun's hitting it right, it probably look quite nice actually. This would have been the entrance with these blast doors as well, obviously blast doors and secure from Allied attacking it. Now you can see where it's shifted, where it's been undermined and it's sunk at the front and it's raised at the back. This bit of stuck here, this little bit here would have been a flanking wall. So in other words, if they're getting attacked from the sea by enemy shipping or whatever it may be, if the crew decide to come through that way, at least they've got some protection behind that wall. Now we're walking further up the beach here now, going towards the main part of this fortification. It was called STP Malo, where STP means basically strong point. Now with STPs, with strong points, they also have what they call WN, which is resistance nest, which is like Tobruks and stuff like that, so hopefully we'll find that as well. And then STP and WN, which is Wilder's Nest I think it's called, are all part of what they call a Festung. Now more like the Festung would have been probably the port of Dunkirk. It's a bit too far up to be anything to do with Calais, but I would say that's what it was. I'm not exactly sure what this is actually, to be quite honest with you. Most of it's sunk under the sand. With the next 20-30 years I reckon it'll just completely disappear. It could be a flanking wall, it could be something else, it could be actually some kind of building on the side here, but you can't tell because most of it's nearly gone now. I'm not exactly sure which one of these are. They're either going to be an M271 or an M272. There's three there, there's one there, and there's one, actually there's four to be honest with you. They're either one or the other I think. If not, I'll have a look at the book where I've got a thing called Regal and Bowl. Really good book it is, by Rudy Rolfe, very interesting, but he's trying to point out what was here, what guns were here. I'm not exactly sure what this is yet. I've tried to look through the book but I can't really find much, and it's really windy out here and full of sand. I've got a feeling it's probably ammo storage. There's some sheltered steps going inside it. Now the building's basically tipped to its side because it would have been more likely up there back in the 1940s. There's no Tobruk on top, in other words there's nowhere you can put a machine gun nest or anything like that. There's no funnels there, like a chimney, to say that the crew lived there, so that's more than likely going to be some kind of ammo storage, because the main firing thing is here. Right, you see this gun emplacement, a lot of damage over the years obviously. This section's obviously fallen away, There's some of the walls at the back, that's fallen away. I'm not sure if that's a wall or maybe some kind of, again, maybe another building at the back of it what stored more ammunition. Now I've just jumped into one of these casemates. Now you imagine in 1940, or I should say 42 onwards, this beach here would have been covered by all sorts of obstacles. Be covered by mines, be covered by what they call Rommel's asparagus, which is basically stakes in the floor with mines on top. It would have been covered by what they call tetraedrons, like a triangular shaped concrete and metal structure. Checkhead jogs, which are like girders welded together. Belgian gates, which are gates basically locked together. That stops tanks coming up there. And other things besides that, no doubt, to try and stop an Allied landing. Because to my left, where you're facing now, a few miles down the road, this is where Hitler expected the Allies to attack, which is Calais, which is the shortest distance between England and Europe, really. Well, as you can see, I'm inside this casemate. I've definitely got a feeling it's going to be an M271272. There's two little rooms either side of me here, and I think this is where ammo storage is. When I refer back to the book I've got, it looks as though these two here and the room size is probably one of them two Kriegsmarine casemates. Let's have a look at these two little side pockets, shall we? Well, that's the rear entrance where the soldiers would have come in to man this gun. This is a very small room. As you can see, it's tiny. I think it's definitely ammo storage. The other side. Exactly the same. That looks like a vent. I think this little niche here would have more than likely been to maybe put some shells on there while they put them into the actual cannon itself. This, and again, I've got a feeling it's probably a storage area, but it's a little bit different. Can you see where the little shelter is there? It's got sheltered steps, but it's also got that thing sticking out. Now, if that's the case, that could be possibly a chimney for crew quarters. It may or may not be. I'll try and have a look on in the book or get some more information about it. But generally, as I said before, it's difficult because I can't even get in there now because the stairs are the opposite way. This would have been further down anyway. So it's slightly sort of fell towards the sea. Lots of buildings here, lots of walls actually. Now then, these walls, I've got a feeling, were part of the Fort Les Dunes, which is the French fortification from the 1900s. The reason I said that is because these bricks are yellow, and I know this fort was built with yellow brick to try and blend with its surroundings. Yeah, I think it's part of the Fort de Dunes, which was the French fortification. I know the Nazis sort of strengthened it in one way or another in the 1940s for their Atlantic Wall. I may have mentioned this before. I saw something like this further over in another casemates, but now I think it proves my point. This here, this farm steam work was built on the front of this mud that we poured concrete for this casemate. Now that's there to stop all the sand blowing up when the gun's fired, because sand is very, very corrosive. It'll go into anything and it'll destroy most things, including the camera I've got here. But when the gun's fired, it doesn't kick up all that sand and it doesn't go in the barrel and don't go in the mechanism. So that is definitely an addition for me to stop all the sand kicking up. There's more concrete structures on the beach here. I don't know what they are because they're all destroyed now. So I'm only guessing it's some kind of shelter. It probably could be a mix of Nazi fortifications, bunkers, crew shelters, and the old French section as well with the yellow there. This structure behind me looks like a base for anti-aircraft gun. Possibly. There's a sign up there. I've had a quick look. It's French. I've not a clue what it says, but there's a drawing or a diagram of some of the stuff around here. So I'll have a closer look. You'll notice something missing here, and it's this stuff, rebar. Very unusual indeed. Well, there's no rebar in that. I really am. That's the reason why it snapped into two. The soil or the sand at the front has been undermined by the weather, and it's just basically fell forward and it snapped in two. Right, I think this is another M680. There's one further down the beach on the other side where we first came on from the plage. This held a 75mm Pack 40 anti-tank gun. That's if it is a 680. You can see where it's obviously been blown up or destroyed. Now I think the 3rd Canadian Infantry came up here, and I know they give this area pretty good hammering. So this is flanking this way. If it's pointing this way, if it's not, unless it's been moved round by the sands, it looks like it's actually pointing down towards Dunkirk itself. I'm standing at the back of a H671, which held a large gun at the front of it that 120 degree turn of handle shooting. The only thing with this is the back of it, but yet the sea's there in the front of me. Now that's really strange, because it looks as though over 78 years the sand has eroded it and actually turned it completely 180 degrees from the original position it was in. That's the power of weather. Right, let's go and have a look at the art of the operations regarding this battery, this strong point. It's called the Fire Control Tower, or an M162A. Now, a little bit about these concrete structures. In order to get them done faster, organisation TOD, a main organisation, civil and military engineer, of doing all this concrete stuff. Whatever I've been, they've been involved in it. But they've actually had their own people to do it. They've employed different companies, or they've even used slave labour. Now, what they do is they have a diagram of each thing that they want. So for instance, they want a gun emplacement fire tower. The plans are called regal bow, which are standard design. Now there's other things off that besides special construction and stuff like that, but that's what they did. So the idea of that was the organisation TOD knew how many men to employ, how much concrete, how much steel, and how many days, wherever it were, would take to build that particular structure. And they all had different, obviously, numbers, but there was the three. There's the Wehrmacht, consisted of the Kriegsmarine, which is the Navy, the Heer, which is the Army, and the Luftwaffe, which is the Air Force. So when you look at standard design, you usually have a prefix letter at the front of it. So L would have been Luftwaffe, believe it or not. H is Her, and M is Kriegsmarine. And that's basically how they managed to get so much of this structure together in a very short time, from a period of 1941 to 44. Sorry, from a period from about 1942 to 44. Now, besides the Atlantic Wall, or I should say the Atlantic Wall is something like 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometres, stretched from the start of Spain all the way up the coast and ends round about the top of Norway. You imagine how many men they must have employed or made into slave labour. That's just the Atlantic Wall. There's other things as well which they had built. Underground structures, Lakapol, Epilec, V2 rocket launching sites, Hazebrook, which is a V1 rocket launching site. Lots and lots of stuff. So all this concrete and steel was used to build all these different types of structure. It must have taken a vast amount of time, effort and energy on constructing all this, and the vast majority of it was never used. What a waste of money. But that's Hitler's megalomania for you. This is the Fort des Dunes, which is a French fortification from 1878. It was built to protect Dunkirk and Zuydcoote, and also any enemy shipping from the sea as well. Now, when the Germans took over this in 1940, they integrated this bit into their Atlantic Wall. So this could have been, at that time, probably where troops would have stayed out of way until they were requested or were needed. This little bit here looks like Antiaircraft battery. This looks like another observation post, and possibly that little concrete structure there may be a chimney, so there could be crew quarters. If I spin it round this way, there's a great big block here that's covered by sand and grass. It's more than likely could be crew quarters. I do apologise for people on the top there, but it's usually full of people and this is the best chance I've got. It's a M162 fire control post. Now this fire control post controls the guns either side of this strong point, and what it does, it has a rangefinder in the I think it's the top bit there. It will be the bottom bit, 1 and 2, and it'll get the range of the whatever enemy's coming from the sea, and it'll tell the guns the positions, the handles to fire onto these shipping. It's got quite a few floors in this. That part there I think is crew quarters, this bit here anyway. I think it is. But generally it's got observation post, it's got a gas lock at the back, it's got close combat, which will be the Tobruk machine gun. It's got, if you see that over there, that's steps there, and it's a enclosed steps, but I think it's shut so we can't get up it. It also has an observation port, which is the front. It's got wireless communication, it's got two computing rooms, so they can compute whereabouts the gun's going to be to fire, and it's got watchtower, and it's got a telephone exchange as well. Right, let's have a look at this M162 from the air.
MKB, or Marine Custom Batterie, Malo Terminus, was built on the site of the old French battery called Batterie Zuydcoote, dating back to 1778. The French had approved the independence of the United States, and they had built this battery to protect themselves against the English, who did not agree with this approval. The battery eventually fell into decay, but was refitted during the Third Republic. At the end of the 19th century, the battery was equipped with 4 9.5cm guns and 4 19cm guns as the main armament. In 1916, the latter was replaced by 4 huge 24cm guns. In 1934, the battery was modernised and the 24cm guns were replaced with 4 19.4cm guns. In 1939, the battery was armed with 4 19.4cm guns, 3 9.5cm guns, 2 7.5cm guns, and 4 7.5cm anti-aircraft guns. On the 2nd of June 1940, it was heavily bombarded together with the Force Day Dunes. However, this did not stop the battery from shelling the German lines the following day. In the evening of the 3rd of June, 3 of the 4 main guns were put out of action by Stuka dive bombers, with a loss of 30 French soldiers. After this attack, the remaining soldiers evacuated the battery at midnight on the 4th of June. Shortly after the fall of France, part of the Marine Artillery Abteilung 206 of the Kriegsmarine occupied the battery on the 24th of June, codenaming it Malo Terminus. In October of 1940, it became the 5 Batterie of Marine Artillery Abteilung 204. The original guns were repaired and 4.4cm Bofors anti-aircraft guns were placed between the heavy guns. Today their open emplacements can be seen. Later still, the guns were replaced by English 9.4cm Vickers Armstrong guns. Only on the 1st of June 1944 were those guns replaced by 4 guns removed from submarines. Model 10.5cm SKC-32U, which were installed in Type R671 bunkers. In 1945, this battery was severely damaged by the Canadian Combat Engineers.
Well, I hope you liked my little video on the Zuydcoote battery in not far off Dunkirk. Strong Point Malo, I think they also called it. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one.